This Mendix Minutes video will be the first in a series building a simple workflow application that will enable the user to load in license agreements, subscription agreements, and other types of agreements to their Mendix application and keep track of expiration dates or renewal dates of those agreements so that any renewal or expiration activities can be completed in a timely fashion. In this, the first video, I will walk through how to set up a new application from scratch, add in the correct modules that you need, and also create some of the security structure and a little bit of the domain model that will be needed for this application. So let's get started. I've opened Studio Pro version 10.18.1. I'm going to create a new app, and I'm going to use the blank web app template. This will take a few minutes. So this is our application. I will reset the view so that I can see all of the panes that I need. The first thing that I'll do is create security. So I'll set up production level security. I'll leave the user roles as these two out-of-the-box user roles, administration and user. The next thing that I'll do is I'll go over to my documentation and look at the prerequisites for the Workflow Commons module. So I'm on the Workflow Commons documentation page. These are my prerequisites. I believe that I have all of these in my existing application, but it always helps to make sure. So I've got Atlas Core, Data Widgets, Atlas Web Content, and NanoFlow Commons. Because this is a recent version of Studio Pro, I should have up-to-date versions of those modules. The next step is to go to the marketplace, search for Workflow Commons, and download the Workflow Commons module. Often when I import a module, I see a few error messages pop up, and that is the case here. These error messages can be due to different versions of widgets, like the accordion widget. The error message, if I simply right click and say update widget, it will update the single widget, and if I right click and say update all widgets, it will update all of those widgets throughout the application. So that is a simple way to get rid of those error messages. The next thing that I'll need to do is to create in my module is to create a file doc specialization that I can use for my subscription or license agreements. So I'll do that now. And I'm going to make that a specialization of system.filedoc so that at some point I can upload actual PDF or other kinds of files into this entity. And because I know that I want to track a few dates, I'm going to go ahead and put those date attributes into this entity. So the first one I'll put in here is start date. On these dates I will not localize because the time component is not important. And then I'll put end date. And then I also am going to put a number of days before expiration to change this agreement. Different agreements have a different number of days, and so I will just enter that in here. As a default value, I will put 60. And then finally, I'll add some access rules to this. What I'll do here, before I add access rules, let me add an admin module role to this module. And then I'll go into the application security. I clicked on the wrong thing. And I will change the security for the application admin user role so that it has administrator, admin in my first module, which is the module where we'll be doing all of our work. Now I can open this back up and make access rules for the entity that I have created. For the admin, I will give them access rules to do basically anything on any agreement. And for the user, I will give them access to create but not delete, to read and write. And then finally, my XPath constraint, I'll just say users can only work on documents that they have created. Let's see here. Oh, forgot to click one button. So now I have my entity. And then the first thing to do here is to go and look at my home page, which I'll do by opening navigation, going to my home page, and just to make this very simple, what I'll do is, I will add a data grid that points to my new entity that I've just created. So these are agreements to track. I'll let Studio Pro populate that for me. I also will right mouse click on the new button and ask Studio Pro to generate that page for me. And I like to make these pop-up layouts. That's a personal preference. And then I'll just make sure that this page that we've just created has some access rights, so that this will be visible for both the admin and the user. And that is the initial version of my application. Just to see if this works, let's run the application. And while that's opening up, I will actually open a little sample agreement document that I've created for this application. You can see that it shows the name of the vendor, the subscription term, and the services provided within this agreement. So once our application starts up, we'll be able to load that document into the application and make sure that it loads successfully. That document will be the starting point for the workflow that we will develop in subsequent videos. Now my application has started up, and so we'll go and view the application. I did turn on production level security. I always get this user, mxadmin, so I can log in with that, and you can see on my home page here I have this data grid that shows the documents that we will be managing. So let me add this one. Let's see, manage services for this document that I'll upload. It started on April 1st, 2024, and it expires on March 31st. I'll leave this as the default, and I'll call this, let me browse my document. I'll open this one. So now you can see that I have my document. I could also add a capability to view that document from within the application, but at this point I think that I will draw this video to a close and work on the next video, which will start the workflow creation process.